We live in a day and age where credit is really important. So if you don't have your credit up or you don't have any credit at all, then this is your time to get it up, especially with the rising interest rates. So I want to talk about what's credit, how to get it up, and how to maintain it. Essentially, a credit score is a three-digit number that basically rates how creditworthy you are. So, in a few words, it's basically saying on a scale of 1 to 1,000, how much can I trust this guy with money? It's based on your credit history, which includes information like number of accounts you have, the total amount of debts you have, repayment history, the type of credits used, so whether it's a mortgage, car loan, or personal loans. And obviously, lenders use this information to evaluate how risky or how safe you are for them to lend money with you. Obviously, the less your credit score, the higher the risk for them. So in that case, they charge you more interest. And the higher your credit score, the lower the risk for them, and then they charge you low interest. So obviously, getting your credit up is really important because it can save you loads of money in the long run, and it gives you lots of leverage because you can borrow money for cheap essentially. So this is an example of what having a good credit can do for you. As you can see, all three of them got the same car, but because the first example has the worst credit, he was offered the most expensive loan. And the third example, this guy probably has good credit, so he was offered the best rate, and he's paying almost $11,000 less than the first guy. So if you live in countries like UK or the US where everything is literally so expensive, where you need to get in debt to afford cars and housing, getting your credit up is really gonna benefit you in the long run. It's essential because you could basically use the bank's money to buy assets, which could end up making you money if you use your head properly. Another reason why I think getting your credit up and having access to credit is really important is because sometimes you can't save your way into buying assets. Let me give you an example. Let's say if you was supposed to save up 100 grand to buy a house and it takes you 5 years. By the time you save that 100 grand to buy that house, it's not gonna cost 100 grand anymore. The house is now cost 130 grand, so and so on. So if you have access to credit, you can essentially lock in the prices on some of assets that you want to buy. Now that you know what credit is and how it works, how do you check your credit score? Good question. So there's a few websites online that you can check your credit score on. You can use Experian, ClearScore, and I'll put a few others that you can use as well on the screen for you. Obviously, your score may vary on all these websites. So if you check your credit score on ClearScore, it might be slightly different from what Experian will show you. This is because some of the credit score calculators go from 0 to 700 or 850 or 1,000 in some cases, so it might vary slightly. I will put on your screen now, based on what credit score checker company you go for, these are the rates of whether you fall in the good, poor, or excellent credit score. So how do you build and maintain good credit? Good question, my boy. So 35% of your overall score is based on your payment history. So this means they keep an eye on whether you've paid your credit cards or any loans on time and even in full when the payment is due. So let's say your credit card is due £300 this month. Have you paid it in full and on time? If so, then that's contributing. If you've not paid it on time, then obviously that's going to affect your credit score. So another factor that affects your credit score is the total amount owed based on the credit that you have available to you. So let's say you have £10,000 in credit available to you. You need to make sure that you're not using no more than 30%. So in this case, you need to make sure that you're not using no more than 3,000. And a tip I'll give you is that if you have a credit card and you've been paying on time, I would recommend you calling your bank up and trying to increase your overall credit limit so that you have a bigger buffer of the 30%. So example, if you have 5,000 on your credit card, even though you only spend 1,000 in every month, I would recommend actually increasing it if you can get it up to 10,000 and still spend the same amount, so that your overall percentage of your credit that you're using stays low relative to the credit that you have available to you. I hope that makes sense. So another factor that contributes around 15% to your credit score is credit history. So basically how much information they have on you and how long you've had your accounts for. So if you've had an account for a long time and they have a lot of information on you and they know that you've been paying your credits on time, they know that you're a trustworthy person, and they know you're less likely to default on your debts. So with this in mind, if you have any accounts that you don't use, I would recommend you don't close them. Just stop using them, so obviously you can keep your credit history longer. Closing them is erasing some of your credit history away. So the next factor that affects your credit score is credit times. So essentially you need to have like different kind of credits. Obviously don't go and take them out if you don't need them, but it helps if you have different type of credits. Example, if you have a mixture of car loan and credit card, or maybe even a phone bill, and you're paying it on time, it basically shows them that you can handle all type of credit and you're a responsible person. So that contributes 10% towards your score. Last but not least, taking out new credit can affect your credit score, and this makes up to 10% of your overall credit score. So basically, if you keep asking for loans or keep taking new credit cards out, to the lenders, you look like you're desperate for money. So only take them out when you really need to, and I do suggest increasing your overall balance on your accounts that you already have instead of taking new ones out, and also minimize your hard searches. And if you don't know what a hard search is, example, if you was going to take a car loan or any type of loan out, and you've given all your details to the loan company and they've run a credit search on you, even if you don't end up taking that loan out, it will still come on your credit file saying that you tried to take this loan out. So that's what a hard search is. So you need to bear that in mind. Right, so with all this information now, if you don't have a credit card and you are considering any type of credit, make sure you're using it. Be smart. Most of these banks make a lot of money on them because they charge a lot of interest. A lot of people, they feel like when they get credit or credit cards or any type of loans, to them it feels like free money, but you need to be smart. Make sure you're only spending it on stuff that you buy anyway. Example, food, petrol, maybe once in a while going out to a restaurant, but don't be going to do shopping spree unless you know the item that you're going to buy will make you money, which you can use to pay off the credit card.